Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Saturday. It is April 19th and we are right in the middle of Easter weekend. And best wishes to those who are observing the Holy Week and to those who are observing horse racing today. There's a lot of big racing out there around the country, but some big racing. I know there's a big Pick 6 carryover at Keeneland. Oaklawn has some big races, and of course Santa Anita is just getting started with their Hollywood meet. So I do like a horse late today at Santa Anita, and I'm going to center that horse around a couple pick threes. So the horse I do like is in the 10th race, and what that's allowed me to do here is able to play that $3 turf pick three as well as the late pick three. So we're going to go with a couple of those tickets and see what that transpires. So let's go with the turf pick three, which does start in the 6th race over at Santa Anita. That is approximate post time about 3:36 Pacific time, so 5:36 here in the Central Time Zone. And that pick three, the turf pick three, includes races 6, 8, and 10 from Santa Anita. So let's get started here with this turf pick three. So the 6th race is a $50,000 maiden claimer. They're running 6.5 on the grass. That's the flat grass course. And these are 3-year-olds and up, maiden claiming $50,000 horses. So, when you get this bunch together here of maiden claimers, it's a combination of horses who have been, knocking around at this level. You've got some horses who are dropping into this level, and you got to try to figure out what's best. I'm going to put 3 horses in to try to get this pick 3 started, the turf pick 3. I'm going to throw out one of the short price horses, which may end up being the favorite. I'm going to throw out Crazy Cavalier today. This horse has certainly had enough chances here at this level and just figures out a way to run second at best. They're trying to change here, taking the blinkers off. They're probably trying to figure what could they do to win. But anyway, I'm going to go against Crazy Cavalier, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm throwing out the 2. I am going to put the 5 horse who is going viral for Richard Mandella. And Kazushi Kimura on the horse. Now, these 2 disappointed me greatly yesterday. I have a lot of respect, and really Richard Mandella is one of my favorite trainers of all time, but sometimes I just don't understand the barn, with some of their performances, or lack thereof. But anyway, I'm going to put this horse in going viral. Now, this horse, they paid a lot of money for this horse. They paid $400,000 for this horse. They tried the maiden special ranks 4 times, and they're giving up on this horse here. And this is what I would call a panic drop. And I just think that this field is so weak that this horse might be good enough here. My suggestion would be, to get the lead and see how far you can go with this horse, because you may not have much running behind you. And this horse could be good enough to win today, but we'll see what he ends up being after that. So this is a 3-year-old colt by Into Mischief, certainly a well-bred colt. And, they're putting him in here for 50. We'll see what Mandella Barn could do here, Kazushi Kimura. I'm going to put the horse in at 5-1 going viral. I'm going to put the 6, who is the old 9 for John Sadler, Umberto Rispoli on this horse. Now, this horse, runs here for the 50,000 tag. This is another horse who last year had been running in special weights. It looked like the Sadler Barn claimed this horse off of Richard Baltus last summer at Del Mar, and I don't know if they got the hot potato or what the deal was, but this horse hadn't been seen since August. Ran one time in mid-March, ran a good second to his stablemate Gazan. Gazan ran a huge race that day, and the old 9 just kind of ran second around the track behind him. So we'll see if that race sets this horse up for this type of event here today. This horse is 7-5 in the program, so certainly no secret here. We'll see if the old 9's good enough. And then finally, I'm going to put the 7 horse, who is Burning Rubber, for Sean McCarthy and Kyle Frey. Now, this horse is horse who has run twice. They tried the horse in the restricted claiming level race. Horse just kind of ran around the track. Maybe it was just a race to get him over. I ended up putting this horse on the turf last time in a maiden 50,000 back in early January. The horse just kind of ran an even race that day. This horse is by Flame Away, and we've seen a lot of Flame Aways do very well, and certainly do well on the turf. So this horse is 8-1. I'm going to give this horse a shot here. After a couple months break here, maybe this horse can be live off the comeback race. So we've got the 5, the 6, and the 7. All right, now let's move over to the 8th race. 8th race is the second leg of the Turf Pick 3. And the 8th race is another turf race, of course. This is 6.5 down the hill. It is a first level allowance race. You've got horses who are fit in these conditions because they hadn't won the appropriate level, and you've got some horses that are putting in the connections are putting them in for the claim price to get them qualified here. So, just a mixture of horses here. Big field here signed on, 12 horses, so that's always nice. So I've got 5 horses I'm going to put in here to get this, pick 3 moved along. I'm going to put the 1 who is Tiger Han from Mark Glatt. Now, this horse has passed this condition, and the reason why he's able to run here is because they're putting him in for 50. As I mentioned, a lot of connections are starting to do this now there in Southern California. It's a way for them to race their horses and also fill races. Tiger Han's 3-1. Umberto Rispoli here. Rispoli is certainly, very capable with this jock colony and certainly very capable on the turf, so we'll put him in here. I'm going to also put the 3, Tom Seaver, for Phil D'Amato, and Antonio Freis, who takes the call. Now, this horse is a lightly raced 4-year-old. He's got 5 starts, 2 wins, and a second. Certainly has done well over the Santa Anita grass with his lifetime 2 wins coming over the Santa Anita grass. Has not run down the hill, but has done turf sprinting. So 5-1. This horse seems to fit the bill. In this race here. And Freis is also another dangerous jock on the turf. So we'll put the 3-horse Tom Seaver in at 5-1. I'm going to put the 6 horse being Kangaroo Court for Tim Yakteen. Raylu Gutierrez riding today. Now, Raylu Gutierrez, I guess, is going to be a regular there on the Southern California circuit. Now, at one time, Kangaroo Court was a really big-time sprinter in the Cal ranks when he first started his career. This horse was just super fast and can carry his speed. And, something apparently, went amiss after, they sent the horse over to Churchill for the Pat Day Mile, and after that race, things have changed. So, he's had 2 sprints this year on the dirt, and he's shown speed both times. I think that they're not giving up on this horse because they're putting him in for the same allowance level, and they're trying him on the turf. So we'll see if this horse likes it on the grass. He hasn't started yet there. Seems to have some good grass breeding, out of a hard-spun mare. So, grass shouldn't be a problem here. And, maybe it's just the type of thing where they're going to tell Raylu, just get the lead, try to relax the horse, and, get this horse in from down the hill. So 8-1, we'll give Kangaroo Court a shot here at 8-1. Going to also put the 7, who is Touchdown Brown. Liberato Baraccio is the trainer, and Kent DeSormo takes the call. Now, Baraccio claimed this horse off of Mark Glatt for $25,000 back earlier in the winter meet back in January. Subsequently, won a Calbred allowance race after that. So good work by the Baraccio barn to win off the claim, and that was on the turf. So this horse, has a win over the turf, has a win over the Santa Anita grass. That coming at a mile, but shortening up to 6.5 furlongs, should be a good thing for this horse. 4-1. We're going to see what DeSormo is for this meeting. Word had it that DeSormo, is looking to ride again and looking to, really try hard. So, the only way we could see that is let's see how he rides. Talk is cheap. Let's see what you can do, Kent DeSormo. We'll put this horse in at 4-1. And then finally, I'm going to put the 12 horse in. 12 horse being Scatify for John Sadler and Juan Hernandez. Now, I'm going to give this horse a shot here. This horse has been kind of out of form, last year. They brought him out one time this year off a bit of a layoff, and he ran on a dirt sprint, which, was a pretty fast race that day. And this horse kind of pushed out to the lead. Jose Ortiz was there. I think that was Big Cap Day when Ortiz came in to win the Big Cap. But, it might be just a workout here. Hernandez has been a very, tough jock in this colony, and, he moves up the ranks big time, when you don't have some of the guys that have left, to go out east. So Hernandez, I think he started out the meet yesterday with 4 wins. So, as I mentioned, certainly a dangerous guy. He's 10-1 here. So we'll put the 12 horse who is Scatify here for John Sadler. So that's the 1, 3, 6, 7, 12. All right, now let's move over to the 10th race of the day. 10th race. This is the horse that I like today, the horse I've been waiting on. 10th race, a maiden special weight. This is 6 furlongs on the flat grass. And these are 3-year-olds and up, fillies. And I'm going to single the 9 horse. 9 horse being Robin with a Y, Paula Gary, and Carmona, the apprentice on the horse. Now, I know I had given this horse out last time she ran, which was March 15th. I liked this horse that day. And, she disappointed us, ended up just kind of running an even race, but, that doesn't work out when you're making a win bet. But Robin with a Y is 6-1 today, coming out of the 9 hole. This is going to be her third start, in her lifetime. She had come off a really good race in her initial attempt, at the races, running a 6 furlong grass race. She ran exceptionally well that day to get beat near the wire by Canto Della Torre. I thought that race would set her up for a nice race in her second effort. She kind of ran an even race, maybe had a little bit of trouble, but I'm going to give her another shot here at 6-1. I think she'll probably go off about that price, so we'll get a nice price there and single there in the Turf Pick 3. I'm also going to make a win bet on Robin with a Y there in the 10th race. So the Turf Pick 3, which is races 6, 8, and 10. We've got the 5, 6, 7 with the 1, 3, 7, 12 with the 9, and that's a $45 ticket. All right, now let's move on to the late pick 3. The late pick 3, I'm going to play that as well, and that overlaps with the Turf Pick 3. So the late pick 3, includes races 8, 9, and 10. So we already talked about the 8th race, so I'll just go over those numbers again. So the late pick 3 we're going to play here in the 8th race. We've got the 1, 3, 6, 7, 12. Okay, now let's go to the 9th race. 9th race is a California allowance race, first level allowance, and they're running a mile on the dirt. And I've got 3 horses here that I'm going to put in for this late pick 3. I'm going to put the 3 who is Mr. Disrespectful. Martin Valenzuela is the trainer. Hector Barrios takes the call. Now, Valenzuela took this horse over from the Lorenzo Luis barn some time ago. Lorenzo Ruiz is not training anymore. So, Martin Valenzuela took the horse over. This year the horse had 3 starts. They brought this horse out on a sprint race in a Calbred level, which they're running here. Horse was kind of ran an even race that day. His first time out in a while, so he needed the race. Followed that up in a starter allowance. Ran a very nice race, coming second to Jerry Spirit, who Jerry Spirit was a big favorite that day and went on to win after that. So that was a live race there. So this horse followed that up. They sent this horse a mile. This horse ran off the charts that day back in late March in a starter allowance race. So ran off the charts, took the lead, and just blew out a field, running big time with a big speed figure. So, this move up to California first level allowance, I don't know that's that big of a move up. So we'll put Mr. Disrespectful here in at 7-2. Then let's move over. Going to put in the 5 horse was Little Richard's Bellow for Peter Urton. Juan Hernandez takes the call. This horse is 5-2 in the program. Now this horse, had been on a bit of a break himself, and they brought this horse back in mid-March. End up running this horse in a same level allowance here, California allowance at 2 turns. The horse just kind of ran an even race, had a bit of a trouble, coming around the far turn into the stretch. So, we'll give this horse a passer. That the fact that he needed the race, had a bit of a trouble. And also Juan Hernandez, it's probably going to be very hard to go against Hernandez, these days there in California. So we'll put this horse in. That's the 5, Little Richard's Bellow. And then finally I'm going to put the 7, who is Spiritual Advisor for Jeff Bondi, Kyle Frey. Now, this horse has been running in this California allowance ranks, for many, many of his last starts. And, this horse had 2 starts this year, ran twice in the Santa Anita winter meet, once in January, once in February. The first time out, the horse had some trouble at the start and just kind of pushed up and ended up running a huge race, getting beat on the wire by Speed Gracie, who's also in this race. So, that was a big effort that day. He had the apprentice Orantes on him. Orantes gave him a tough ride, broke out poorly and then just kind of rushed up, which never seems to work, but this horse almost got it done there. So this horse followed that up with just kind of an even effort that day. Ended up getting beat by Clouseau, who was ready to run that day and ran a big race. So he ran an even effort that day. So it looks to me like Bondi's given this horse a little bit of a break, because that was back on Valentine's Day. So give this horse a couple months break. I think this horse comes back out to run well. I think Kyle Frey on this horse should do a lot of good. This horse does show some speed and looks to run towards the top of the pack, and certainly Kyle Frey is a jock that is certainly does well with that. So 5-1 we'll put Spiritual Advisor. So we've got the 3, 5, and 7, and then that ends with the 10th race, which we've talked about already. I'm going to single the 9, who is Robin with a Y, in the 10th race. So that's the late pick 3. All right, now let's go over the day, recap the day, and recap the tickets. Okay, so for today, Saturday, April 19th, we've got a couple tickets here. We've got a win bet. So at Santa Anita, I'm going to make a $3 turf pick 3 bet, which includes races 6, 8, and 10. So we've got the 5, 6, 7 with the 1, 3, 6, 7, 12 with the 9. And that's a $45 ticket. Now let's go to the late pick 3. Late pick 3 is races 8, 9, and 10. We've got the 1, 3, 6, 7, 12 with the 3, 5, 7 with the 9. That's Robin with the Y. That's also a $45 ticket. And then a win bet on the 10th race on the 9, Robin with the Y. So if you see fit, you can play the tickets as is. If you want to add or subtract or maybe use some of these picks and other multiple race wagers, I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing. Let's wish ourselves some good trips. Maybe we'll get some good luck and good results for ourselves. So whatever you decide to do today, I do appreciate that you watch Fast Horses today. Good luck on your bets. You could hit the subscribe button for me. It doesn't cost you anything. It just puts you on the feed. When new content gets created, gets served up to you. You could like or dislike the video. You can make comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's create a discussion. So again, thank you so much for watching today on April 19th. And we will be back tomorrow on Fast Horses Today on Easter Sunday for more coverage at Santa Anita. Have a great day today.